welcome to another broadcast of The Soul of the Everyman on ArtistFirst Radio. If you'd like to send your questions or comments in, hit us up at dj@artistfirst.com. And now out to your hosts, it's Michael and Margaret Lyons.
And thank you very much, Z-Man. And it is Michael and Margaret Lyons. That's what they call an echo lead, I think, or something like that. Anyway, you introduce yourself this time.
I'm Margaret. Welcome.
There we go. We're done. And I'm Michael. And as Margaret said, welcome to another show of another episode of the show of the another episode of the Soul of the Everyman. We are not been drinking, as far as you know. As far as you know. And tonight, if we were drinking, we could kick off tonight's show topic with a talk about with a you're absolutely right. I'm like flying tonight. We could open tonight's show topic with a diatribe about gifts that come from your parents, such as a liver, which you can drink on. What also used to be known as an Irish liver. But tonight's show is going to be about, we decided to talk about gifts and dreams. And one of the reasons that came up is a couple of nights ago we were talking about, kind of reflecting and saying, you come to points in your life and you think, what would I like to do next, and where would I want to go? And we've always been sort of ambitious and sort of risk takers rather than risk averse, and we've followed a lot of our dreams, and not every one of them has worked out. In fact, I don't think any of them have.
No,
but
that's not true.
But the point that I'm making is that the working out part is not the part that makes you follow your dream. What makes you follow your dream is the fact that you want to do it, you want to manifest it, you want to take that risk, you want to use the gifts and the talents and the desire, the kind of the passion that you have for one thing or another. And we were in business with the Rock and Gem Shop. We were, I was in business with my own concern for a number of years, and the primary requirement is not that you are saying, well, I'm going to go into this and I'm going to be a great success. The primary requirement is that you're going to go into this and say, I'm going to risk, failure, just to follow my passion, follow my dream.
Well, it's being very clear and understanding that the motivation behind taking that step. Are you enjoying what you are doing? Do you find a level of elation?
Bliss.
Mm-hmm. But it's, again, Joseph Campbell's follow your bliss.
Follow your bliss.
You got to know internally where your bliss resides. And it's part of the dream process, setting something out there. Because usually when you're dreaming, it's not just a goal. A goal is something, yes, you do set. But a dream, it speaks closer to your heart.
Right, at the heart level.
Mm-hmm. And when you look in there and you look at the dream, your response automatically should be this smile.
Mm.
Your whole body it smiles. Yes, that's my dream.
And it's at a soul heart level. It's like you said, a goal is like, I'm going to buy toilet paper this week. That's a goal. and fulfillment of that goal can give you a warm, sort of a warm, clean feeling. But it doesn't give you that feeling that realizing your dreams does. Realizing your dreams is something which gives you sort of a soul satisfaction. It also gives you this feeling of accomplishment and fulfillment of purpose. Your dream is also something which was kind of set into your heart. If it's a true dream, truly your bliss, set into your heart before you knew why or what you wanted to do. It was like, I've come to the realization that I really want to be this. It's always just appealed to me. This whatever this thing is, and call it what it is. I love to do this type of work. When I'm doing this type of work, it doesn't feel like work to me. It feels like just me.
You basically can't stop yourself.
Almost can't stop yourself. Yeah.
You just know that this is what you put your hand to. Or sometimes it's contemplation, mental exercises, or learning, exploring something. And suddenly you're just feeding on whatever information you're getting once you begin to research that particular subject or field, and you absorb it like a sponge.
Right.
And it's very, very easy, effortless, because it's something that engages you at a heart level, and you begin to fill yourself up with all of this experience, information, processing, trying to see where it all kind of fits in general. If it's, say, it's a field of endeavor, seeing what it takes to enter that particular field, what you would have to do, and then beginning to set goals for something. If it's an expression of creativity, whether it's painting or it could be painting, it could be writing.
Any
pictures.
artistic endeavor or anything, any creative endeavor.
Right.
And I think what you're really saying is there from the outside, from someone else's point of view, your bliss, which may have nothing to do with what they want to do, looks like a lot of work. You don't feel that you're engaging in something which is meticulous or takes a lot of study or because that
Sure.
the resonance in your heart flows outward into action. So it flows outward into, well, I've got to do this to become better. I've got to do this to learn the skill of whatever it is to do this creativity. It's like people who play a musical instrument, tens of thousands of hours of practice over and over again for that one, 3-minute or 5-minute song, or
technique.
or
A technique in order to express what you want to express in the song, because you're relying on body memory to execute whatever that particular musical instrument requires, and to do it effortlessly as you're engaging in the expression that comes out. It's just amazing when you think of it, because that discipline in order to get your physical body to that point, and then your soul expression has to come in, and that melding of two parts of you. And then the creative part, of course, is, again, another part of that, which is your spirit expression. It's wonderful when it all melts together, because you're actually engaging all of you in that type of an endeavor. It's funny because when we had the rock and mineral store, it's a hobby that I have. And I love investigating all little nuances of different types of minerals and stone and crystallization, geometrics on the crystallization, variations of it, what conditions were necessary in order for this particular gemstone to present itself. And it's endless when you begin to go into all the different classifications of rock, and it's minerals that are needed for the rock to form, and then the conditions, and it's just something that I enjoy. Now, most people aren't too interested in rocks, or, it's a rock. You either like the rock or you don't like the rock. That's what I loved about it. You like it or you don't. There's no in between. Maybe I like the rock. No.
Well, but let's not go too fast. But I mean, actually, what you're saying is kind of echoing what I was saying too. Is in essence, what looks like a lot of work and a lot of detail from the outside, you engage in voluntarily because you love it. It evokes that experience of both involving yourself and getting a reward back, the reward of the pleasure of doing this. And then the interesting thing you just said was that for most people it's just a rock, but in fact, what I observed, because I worked with you for many years in the Rock and Gem shop, what I observed is that your passion for the mineral would be infectious. It would, because somebody is passionate about something, whatever it may be, they're following their bliss, and you can feel whether or not you are particularly involved or drawn to that, whatever that skill is. You can feel their passion coming through, their soul expression through their music or through their Rock and Gem shop or through their the way they jackhammer out a sidewalk, whatever it is. But when you're following your bliss, people feel the fact that you are so involved at the heart level with what you're doing, and they can appreciate that because that's the human commonality. There's 10 million specialties and things that people want to do, but at the heart level, we're connected there. You can see when someone's heart is so involved in their expression, and it evokes a similar response in you. You say, well, this is a human being following their dreams and realizing them, and it's wonderful. And it brings a smile watching somebody so involved. Like some people they spend 10,000 hours curating stamps and thinking, well, that's the most boring thing on earth, but they're so into it that if you engage them at that level, they can make you interested in it for a little while. You watch those shows, the cosmology shows, and all these people are just like, there's spittle flying in every direction as they describe, dwarf stars and planets and quasars, and you're like, wow, you're really into this, aren't you? But they really, really are into it, and it becomes interesting because of the passion that they have for it.
No, if you're sparked, it's your bliss, and Exactly. It just really doesn't matter. I mean, you enjoy sharing it, but you also enjoy it by yourself.
Right.
You don't need someone else there to really enjoy it. You just enjoy it. And you get to the point, to really get to the point of being in a blissful state, it's like, I'm so happy, I've got to share this with people. And that enthusiasm, that love of it, and it only takes one person who's like, I've always wondered about, and then suddenly the floodgates open. Right. And all this wonderful, do you really want to know about that? So we begin to talk. And right. It's talking not only about the scientific aspect of that particular crystallization of this particular mineral, classification, zoisite, gem name, tanzanite. How did it get there? What's its natural? What is the crystallization? Trigonal? Is it da-da-da-da-da? But then you switch your language into how beautiful it is, because the appreciation is there, the aesthetic is there, the depth of color, variations of color, what causes the color. And then again, you can shift again into energetics. What is this particular crystal actually attuned to? Or can it be attuned? Or, it depends on the person and how they engage with what's in front of them. And that's what I find fascinating about people. There is a way, always, to engage. And it's a joyful thing, because you're in conversation. You're in a real conversation with them. You're not dictating things to them, and they're not lecturing to you. You're sharing. And in that sharing, it's a heart-to-heart connection.
And I'd like to just bring this back down to, where does that all come from? Where does it all start? And you can see it almost immediately in any good kindergarten class, or in any bunch of children. When you put children in front of anything, you will watch them go into the room, which is full of all various types of toys, and they will gravitate towards what makes them happy, which is basically at that level following your bliss, and they all get tremendously involved. And here's the key, and what you just said, is if you walk over and just engage them in a little conversation, what are you doing? They will go chapter and verse and depth and tell you what they are doing. They are engaged. They are so at a heart level enjoying what they're doing that they will explain it to you and talk to you about it.
Love
and
that.
if you just go back and forth with them, you will be drawn right into that bliss
It's true.
with them. And it's something that children instinctively know how to follow their bliss and try to realize their dreams. And we at our peril lose that as we go forward through life. If you can keep that, and if you have something which really makes you respond versus something like, going out and buying toilet paper, go after the thing that makes you happy, even if it's not the thing that's giving you the most amount of money or the most amount of recognition, like fame or whatever.
Fame. Power.
Power. I mean, when don't confuse, the bliss of a child is what makes their heart feel good and what makes them happy. Keeping that as you go into young adulthood and into adulthood and on through your life is so desperately important. It's really the key. So if you want to realize your dreams, you have to find your bliss. This is not me, this is Campbell. Find your bliss, follow your bliss, and stick with it no matter what. Don't get distracted by the big corporate job and at the head office in Missoula. Follow your bliss. Be what you want to be. Be Jane Goodall with the apes, and basically when she went and did that, they were saying, well, this is career suicide. Well, she's only like the most famous anthropologist in the world now, or one of them. But you get there you don't sit there and say, I'm going to be the famous anthropologist. You say, I'm going to follow what my heart tells me to follow.
Yeah. She was engaged at a heart level with these wonderful gorillas, apes, chimpanzees. Yeah. And they had accepted her, and then she went with it. And really, that step, being able to engage on that level. I mean, whenever there's a choice that comes up, and we have said this before, you've got to ask your heart, am I going to regret this? Am I going to be able to fly with this?
Okay.
Because it will tell you true. And again, if you ask your head, it will give you many, many reasons. As long as you're listening to the head.
Yeah, you'll end up in the head office in Missoula buying toilet paper if you listen to your head. I'll have 10,000 rolls of toilet paper, please, and you'll be like, my soul is dying. But yes, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't interrupt you.
Well, it's just being able to do that. It's the phrase I think that's being used is a kid at heart. To be a kid at heart all the way through. And how many adults do we know that are kids at heart? And they're the happiest.
Yes.
They understand stuff happens. Their lives aren't perfect. But when it comes right down to it, they love where they happen to be.
Right.
Because they will always play. Kids at heart will always go off and play with you about something.
And I've been somewhat lucky in my career because my main training is in engineering, and engineers are a bunch of happy 2-year-olds for the most part.
Oh yeah, I will bear witness to that. Definitely.
There's a certain let's say, innocent joyfulness to a bunch of engineers. You get past the, where they're pushing their glasses up on their nose and saying, well, actually, but once you get past that part of it and you get down to the point where you engage them in what they're doing, you say, well, so what are you working on today? And they're like, someone's interested. And they'll just, go on. They'll launch. And you have to see the bliss, the joy. Now, like anything, if you understand baseball or you understand the piano or you understand software engineering, it means more what they're talking. But at the level of, wow, you really enjoy what you're doing, you can see that in their eyes and in how passionate they are. And this is true of anybody. You mentioned the other day that you ran into somebody who was working at a fast food joint, and the attitude of that person was so so wonderful, so infectious that you say, well, they're really enjoying themselves. Well, the idea that this is some sort of a drudgery type of job, and that no one would want to do it. Well, that may be true of you, and may be true of most people, but there are people who just enjoy that experience, and she was one of these people. And you could feel that her engagement at the heart level spread outward to everybody she engaged with, to the point where you were inspired to say, well, to the next person down the line, how you pick up your food and go to the next window, that person is so wonderful. She's great. She gave me a great experience for my 2 minutes at the fast food joint. That is another way of following your bliss, is to be, like you said, happy where you are and happy doing what you're doing. Maybe it's not everything you wanted to do with your life, but it is your current bliss. It's your current.
She was wonderful, because just ready to, she wanted to help you. She just really wanted to help you, but she wasn't super obnoxious about it. And she's like, and I basically said, may I have a moment? She said, oh, yes, just call me when you're ready. And then she let out this delighted laugh. And I'm like, wow, you're so happy. She goes, yes, I am.
But that's exactly it, is she brought a smile to your face.
And the interesting part about it is, when in conversation with her, she smiled at me and I smiled back, and she's like, I just made the decision I'm going to be happy.
Right.
Because life is too short.
Yes.
Why do I have to be miserable? I'm going to be happy. Now, my husband, on the other hand, has decided he wants to be miserable.
Maybe that's following his bliss. But that's an interesting point, and it's something that it's sort of a little off topic, but there is the other, sort of not the converse, but sort of the parallelism of following your bliss, which is making your bliss. We oftentimes make misery out of what we're doing. We make it into drudgery. We make it, I hate this job. I hate going to work. I hate everything about everybody at all times. And all that does is reflect back on your attitude and on you, and it's as much a negative turn-off as it is when somebody's following their bliss and they are happy, that it's a positive turn on. When you meet the woman who is in a service job that's not she's not a cosmologist or a pianist or something, but she's making her bliss out of what she's doing right at that moment. And there's still the heart connection. So in some ways, following your dream is a process, but part of it is the journey, and where you are right now is to say to yourself, well, I'm following my dream. I'm not there yet, because dreams, amazingly, take time to realize. They don't come. You don't wake up the next morning and say, here I am, with the island in Majorca. You have to wake up that morning and say, I have to buy toilet paper today, and I'm going to be happy about it. So, or you can try to
yay.
or yay, and the the part of following your dream is realizing that on the journey is just as important as getting there.
Mhm. And I have to say that what this woman, what her talent was being able to speak with people. She loved meeting people. She just loved meeting people. And it seems like a simple thing, but it's not. Because when she's meeting you, and I think we had this discussion before, you very rarely meet a person who is willing to listen to what you have to say. I mean, really, what is this person communicating? And this is where she is. She's meeting them. Yes, she's serving them, letting them have their whatever it is they're ordering. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But she's doing it in such a way that you know that she is truly caring and pretty much asking, like, how are you?
Mm.
Whatever time you have, she'd be only too happy to engage and talk with you and listen to what you have to say. That's the magic of being able to have a conversation that has meaning for both parties.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think if you look at from the point of view of what she was doing and the realizing your dreams, some people are people persons or person peoples. They're personable. They're people. What? How do you say that?
People person.
Personal people.
People person.
I'm getting lost in this, but you know what I'm trying to say. You're a people person. All right, so she was a people person, which is a hard thing to say, because it's like you. But at the end of the day, her bliss is in interaction. Okay, and you find people like that at all levels of the world. You find people who have very good people skills, and then there's everybody else. Who are, let's say, not people persons. And so it is certainly is a talent, and it is a skill, and it's something that you when you find somebody who's good at it, who's good at interacting with people, it certainly can be very rewarding to talk to them, and very rewarding for the person who that's their bliss. Is their bliss is I just like interacting with people. When for all those years, the 10 years or so that we were in the Rock and Gem, you have to be you don't have to be a people person to run a retail store or to be in retail, but it sure does help because it makes the day go by. It keeps everyone happy and engaged and active, and you find that people are very much happier to come back and to talk about, like you did, about you and your store, if they had a good experience there. But you have to follow that bliss. You have to say, I'm going to get up this morning and I'm going to like people today, as hard as that may be.
Oh my.
Loving the unlovable here, people, on the Soul of the Everyman. And I think we might have to go to a lovable studio commercial break in just a moment. But when we come back after this break, we'll talk a little bit more about how you realize your dreams, and maybe sort of a way that you can get on that path.
Hi, my name is Christina Garlick, and my new book, Nevada Rain, is now available. It's a sci-fi fantasy story for ages 14 and up. I hope you check it out, and of course enjoy. Also, you're listening to the ArtistFirst radio network that has a station for everyone.
There is a Reaper is the story of 5-year-old Christopher Aaron and his life-changing struggle with leukemia. Winner of both the Indie Bragg Medallion as well as the reader's favorite silver medal for memoir, There is a Reaper has more than 100 Amazon book reviews and a 5-star rating. It has been described as life-changing, spiritual, a must-read. Just released on Audible and iTunes, this memoir is also available in paperback and on Amazon Kindle for only 99 cents. Get your copy of this life-changing memoir today.
Hi, this is June Trope. Check out my new book, The Deadliest Sport, available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. And please visit my website, junetrope.com. And you are listening to the ArtistFirst Radio Network.
The Fat Man Gets Out of Bed is the latest book from Michael Lyons, the award-winning author of There is a Reaper. Featuring 13 original stories, this wide-ranging collection has everything. Forbidden love, gods versus demigods, weird invading aliens, sexy seductive artificial intelligence, and unusual passion between the living and the dead. All set amidst fantastic worlds of pain and loss and boundless joy. From the sublime to the macabre to the bittersweet, The Fat Man Gets Out of Bed will leave you breathless with laughter, brimming with tears, trembling with suspense. Available now on Amazon.com, Google Play, iTunes, Kobo, and fine e-tailers everywhere.
Thanks for joining us on The Soul of the Everyman on ArtistFirst Radio. All past shows are archived. Just go to ArtistFirst.com. Now back to your hosts, Michael and Margaret Lyons.
Thank you very much, D-Man. And yes, this is the second half of The Soul of the Everyman show. And tonight's show, we've been talking about basically following your bliss or realizing your dreams, and how you how you can both use your innate talents, your innate gifts. We were talking last half hour about being a people person, which I was unable to say, but now I can because I practiced. And and in essence, the other talents that you have, and everyone, one thing that you have to realize at some level is that you have two things that everyone has. You have some gifts. Everyone has some gifts, and you also have some passions. And if you take the gifts that you have, and they may be, you're the ace #1 pencil sharpener in your class, or whatever it is. You could be a wonderful musician, but then you apply those gifts to your passion, and your passion may be, you really like. We just were talking about last half hour. You really like interacting with people, and whatever that, if that's your passion, go with it. You have your gifts, whatever your gifts are. You're a talented musician, but follow your passion for people and apply your gifts to it. A lot of times people will say, "Man, you're really good at XYZ. You ought to be this."
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, you're so good at throwing that fastball. You ought to be a major league pitcher. Well, your gifts are kind of the static part of the relationship with you in life. You're given a certain talent. You have a great memory. You're very pretty, or you've got great skill at whatever it is, woodworking. So these things are part of what physical attributes that you have. And physical skills that you have, and you can develop them and so on. But if you don't apply those gifts toward your passion, towards your bliss, just following them and letting people tell you what you ought to do because you can do X, Y, or Z so well is not going to get you to your actual dreams. It's going to get you something, some career or other, but it won't get you to your passion. Go take your gifts and apply them to your passion, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because well-meaning parents may take a child that they feel has a certain talent and basically say, okay, you do this. You
Exactly.
and then they're scheduled out their wazoo for, well, you seem to have a talent here or a liking here, and then they're scheduled to the point where they don't have a moment of downtime, free time, where they can explore their inner creativity.
Right.
And it's that inner free time is exactly what you have when you're a young child, where you can play, you can explore. You enter the room, as you said, and what is it that attracts you? Is it a color? Is it a texture? Is it this machine that sort of looks interesting? Can I do something with that? Can I build it up? Can I knock it down? It's just that in the moment expression of what you're going to do is such a wonderful gift. And it's been downplayed by, well, you've got to plan for it all, Whatever it is you're going to be doing, you've got to plan for it, and we have to take stock of what you're capable of. I remember those tests they used to have us take, and they say, well, you have all these talents that you'll make a good
haberdasher. Well, yeah, but exactly that. It's like you're going into instead of following your bliss, you're going into an employment agency, and they're trying to figure out what where you should plug in, into society or whatever. And
right.
and if you're lucky, one time out of 100, maybe that'll actually be your bliss. But most times it's not.
Yeah, I was going to say most of the time that only works with a person who already knows what they've always wanted to do. And like my mother really wanted to be a nurse ever since she was a little girl. Doctors usually said I always wanted to be a doctor. Musicians usually can't stop themselves from playing music.
Very true. That is true. I mean, sometimes your gifts are so unusual, unique, that they are one with your passion. So you just follow your gift and your passion are going together. But there are so many examples of the other way, where someone says, well, my passion is I want to work with children. I have this wonderful talent for numbers. I have this wonderful talent for washing windows. But I don't find those things to be my bliss. I want to go and work with underprivileged children. Or I want to go and find the thing that makes my heart sing.
Right. Something that's got to spark you. It's got to spark you. There's something that just motivates. It's like, yes, that's what I want to jump at.
And then your gifts will play into that thing. You're going to be very good at applying the gift that you have for numbers, let's say, into the bliss, which is helping. If you use the example of helping children. So it's we're very geared, and you just said it. We're very geared in this society to identifying talents or gifts, and then turning that right into, well, you ought to be this. You've got this wonderful talent for whatever it is. And that means you must be this kind of person. And it has really the two are oftentimes, almost always, in fact, not correct. It's much better to sit there, as you said, not ask your head, well, I've got these gifts, I've got to use them. Is just ask your heart. When I walk into the room, what do I gravitate to? If the room is the universe, the room is the world, and what in the world do I gravitate to? What makes me feel so? Yes, you have this wonderful talent. You should have been a doctor, but you really like constructing houses, and so you become a builder or a carpenter or something like that, and you are following your bliss. And yes, you're not making $300,000 and living on Park Avenue, but darn, are you happy building houses? That's then that's a life well spent. That's a passion followed. That's realizing your dream. That's your dream.
What is it that basically made you glad to get up in the morning?
Exactly.
And I think we said this before too. I mean, what is it that makes you lose that enthusiasm?
Right.
You lose that I don't want to get up. I don't want to see what today is going to bring me. And it's usually because your head has already made up the idea, or that it already knows what your life is going to be. It's going to be boring.
Right.
So I don't want to get up.
It's very planned. You're now at war. I think that the basic problem that people have, that they don't want to do what they're doing, is that their head, euphemistically, is at war with their heart. Their head says, well, you've got these bills to pay, and you've got these responsibilities, and this job that you're doing right now is what makes that money, and so you have to do those things. And so you will go pick yourself up and dutifully go off to whatever it is that you do for the money, so that you can, quote unquote, live for the weekends. That's the whole expression. I work, I drudge all week long so I can have the money to do what I actually want to do. And that, where you lose that is when you hit that, let's say, prepubescent or teenage, pre-teenage years, and people say, well, what do you want to do with your life? And you're like, well, at that point you're like, well, I don't know. But if you were honest, you say, well, I really like X, Y, or Z. I like working with puppies. Maybe I should follow that. But instead, people will say, well, you've got these great test scores in biology. You ought to be a biologist. And you're like, well, okay, it sounds like biologists. So you head off in that direction without consulting your heart. Somebody sort of pushes your head in a direction, says, go this way. It'll be great. You'll love it. Go rack up $500,000 worth of debt and come out of school with a degree in something you don't want to do. Right. Instead, just giving people the freedom to say, well, if you want to go off and be a veterinary assistant or a welder or a carpenter, if it makes you happy, just do it.
If you are engaged in being able to help animals, and that really there's a fulfillment there, right. And you just to follow that through for a while, and then you begin to explore the field to see, well, what is available to me in this? And when you do that, inevitably something will present itself, because your heart is going, yeah, this is cool. I want to, this poor puppy, or the kitty, or it just your heart is constantly engaging in what makes it not just happy but alive.
Right.
Your heart needs to be alive, and people want to say, okay, it's got to be what makes me happy, always happy. But it's like, no, it's what brings your heart to life. And it's the whole range. It's not just, happy. It's what?
Well, I mean, like you said, there's a difference between passion and happiness. Passion, that's why there's two different words there. Happy is happy, but passion drives you when you're not happy, and drives you when times are tough, when it's not working out. It's like, but I want to do it. Passion is desire. Passion is, I want to do it. This makes me live. This makes me feel. This makes my blood pump. Yes, and happiness comes from that, but it's not the other way around. You can't say, well, just follow your happiness, kids, and take those happy pills, and you'll be fine. No, it's passion. Follow that passion. Follow the.
If you're following that road where your heart is alive in that way, it's not just happiness, but it's joy.
Yes.
It's real joy. And that is something that literally money cannot buy that.
Nope.
Money is just, it's your tool to be able to walk down that road. And it's good, like a hammer, you need a hammer to hit a nail.
Yes. In fact, when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail, which is good too.
So when you have a lot of money, everything looks like you should be able to buy it.
That is true.
It's a whole internal attitude. But
we're going in a different direction here, but you're absolutely right. But what you said before is so incredibly true. The following that passion, following their heart, and then what you're going to find is the money, the resources, what you need will come. You're going to be so involved with what you do and so passionate about it. You're going to find other fellow travelers, other people who are also passionate about what you're passionate about, and they're going to recognize that in you, and they're going to say, "Hey, would you like to do the XYZ job? Because we really need somebody who fits right in there and knows what they're doing and wants to learn and is passionate about it." And you will move into, you will advance in your passion to the extent that it needs to be, that you will find others willing to advance you into it.
Right.
So your talent can bring you into, can enhance the way how quickly you move towards your passion. Right. So if you're an incredible vocalist or you got an incredible voice, and your passion is to bring music to people, those two things are going to go together really well. But if your passion is to bring people to God, or to bring to help people, in some capacity, and you have this wonderful voice, that can help too. You can say, well, I want to testify, but I'm going to do it with my gift of my voice, or my gift of my voice of presenting myself, or whatever it is. So again, that's that whole idea of once you are committed to your passion, the resources, and sometimes it's not money, but it's just the connections, the other fellow travelers who are also passionate about that thing. You will find them. They will find you, and they will start to move you into their passion too. Because they're going to say, well, the great part about the life here is that you don't stay here forever. And so therefore, we need more whatevers, veterinarians, firemen, people who buy toilet paper. We need more of them because the old ones are going to die, especially the guys who buy toilet paper, because that's like a thankless job. Actually, well, never mind. But the point is that there is always a vacancy in your passion. You can't say, well, everybody who wants to do this, every job in that is already filled. There's already a bazillion people. Yeah. No, there's room for a bazillion and one, because the passion that you have will make you a place, will make you a room to go into, to be part of that thing, because people...
It's a God-given talent that basically has a destiny. There's an end game here. And it's walking in that, knowing that, this is where I'm alive.
Right.
And when I know I'm alive, I'm so engaged. Every part of me is engaged in this. I'm walking this way. I may not understand how it's all going to happen, why it's happening. All I know is that this allows me to touch everything around me. And influence everything around me with great enthusiasm and joy. Mm-hmm. And when you lose your passion for something, that's when you know you've got to pull out of it.
Mm. Right.
Otherwise, you're basically falling down a dark hole because the passion's no longer there.
There's that, and there's just you end up where we talked about it just a few minutes earlier, where you are doing something which will get you money or whatever it is, your power or whatever, but you're not doing it because you like it or love it. You're doing it because it's a thing to do, and you could just as easily not do it.
If you're feeling that emptiness, that's when you have to stop and look at it to see, okay, let me ask my heart again.
And you know what we haven't talked about, and this is maybe a good point, is that let's say you come to that point where you say to yourself, well, what I'm doing is, I don't like it, I don't want to do it, I really want to do the XYZ thing. What's the first thing that happens? Oh, well, what if I fail? What if, I can't give up everything I have. I might, I might starve. I might lose things. Fear. The biggest thing that stands in the way of you following your passion is the fear of failure, or the fear that it just won't work for whatever reason, especially if you've already made yourself comfortable doing something you really don't want to do, but you're comfortable. You're like, this is easier to say than it is to do, but don't succumb to that. Follow your bliss anyway. Yes, it might not work out. Yes, you might fail. Do it anyway. Because at the end of the day, you'll be a happier person following your bliss and not having everything maybe you had before than you will be, staying in this comfortable nothing.
Well, a lot of people, especially towards the end of their life, what they always say is, I have these regrets.
Regrets.
And asking your heart if you're going to have a regret about it is usually one of the best ways that will bring you to clarity.
Right, guide you.
Yeah, on where your next step needs to be. Because regrets are a good indicator for you when you begin to learn how to speak with your heart on whether or not you're going to have a regret about this. Because you could always, that question is something that you just intuitively know one way or the other. Will I have a regret about this? If I take the opportunity, and even if I fail at it, I won't have a regret about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I took the opportunity.
I took the chance.
Mm-hmm.
Took the chance. They say opportunity knocks, and opportunity only knocks, opportunity knocks once. But it's true. It's not true that opportunity only knocks once, but it is true that you have to follow, you have to answer that door. You have to open the door. You have to step through into the unknown.
Right. You have to be willing to go there, to go through, to take the chance. And understanding your motivations, understanding the amount of fear that's there and acknowledging the fear. It's valid fears. We understand. But in the end, when you look back, are you going to regret not going through that door?
Exactly true. And when, as you said, people get to their to the end of their lives, and I always find that phrase to be distasteful, because you don't know when your life is going to end, and don't put that kind of bookend on your life and say, well, I'm getting to the end of my life. Well, who cares? But
you mean like that bucket list thing?
The bucket list and all that other nonsense. But it is a truism, because what they're saying with their bucket list is that they have a bucket full of regrets. Oh, I didn't do this. Oh, I didn't do that.
That's true.
And don't collect a bucket full of regrets. A, number one, it's heavy. B, number two, regrets stink. You're carrying around a bunch of stinking regrets. As opportunities arise, ask your heart, and if it's something that your heart says, yeah, let's try it, let's do it, you do it. And it's not something that you need to necessarily say, well, I'm going to just recklessly throw all my money in this direction or that direction. But don't ignore the whispering of your heart. And it gets fainter and fainter. The more you ignore it, the lower the whisper of the heart gets, because the heart won't shout.
There is a stillness, an internal stillness that allows you to speak to your heart and your spirit. That's the doorway by which it comes through. And it's that small voice. It's not something that shouts. Now, your head will shout at you.
Your head will shout like Hitler.
It will command you. It will bully you. It's amazing to watch that.
Yeah.
But your heart doesn't do that. It is and understands what it means to be. So when you're asking yourself whether or not you will have regret, what you're asking your heart is, will I be alive in that moment?
Yes.
And your heart will tell you, yes, you will be in that moment.
Right.
It's interesting. Is will I be in this moment? And that's what suddenly everything around you, you're all together like, yes, I'm alive.
The other interesting thing, and at least this is my experience, is that the head will talk to you in all kinds of different voices. You know, it'll talk to you in your parents' voice. It'll talk to you in a mentor's voice. It'll talk to you in the voice of Pickett. But your heart always talks in your voice. Your heart is your own voice speaking back to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a quiet voice, as you said. It's quiet, and it is ignorable, and it is a soft, gentle voice. It can be very passionate, but it is not a voice that shouts and yells and screams and commands, as you said. But that if you start to follow it, it becomes very powerful.
Because it is the core of who you are.
Of who you are. Exactly.
Yeah. It's your spirit aspect, your consciousness. And sometimes I wonder, it's like, why does my head have to argue this way? What's going on here?
What's going on in your head?
That's right.
That's the subject of another show, folks. We're going to call it What's Going On in My Head tonight. It's going to be a very, very funny show. Never mind, go ahead.
But it's true. I mean, your mental aspect is a part of you. Why is it arguing so much? You know?
It's the little, it's the ego, it's the I in the I. It's the one where people can't say things without saying I. The heart is not an I, you know.
Right. It's a being state. It is part of your core. And the fact that your ego can ignore that completely that's so strange.
The ego is basically plankton on SpongeBob.
Oh, that's true.
I am really dating myself with that.
Plankton, yes. Yeah.
Now we've gone off the rails entirely. But to bring it back to our theme, just because we have a couple more minutes here. If you had your gifts and you had your bliss and you had your heart voice when you were 2, and if you feel that you don't have it now, go back. This is really the exercise, is go back to your 2-year-old self and find that 2-year-old voice. Say, what did we like to do back then? Or if you can't do that, go and find some 2-year-olds and interact with them. And
yeah.
Because they will remind you of what you were then. When you see it all the time, when people sit on the beach with a bucket and sand and a shovel, and everybody turns into a 2-year-old. And that's the moment when you really can hear your heart talking. Let's build a sandcastle. Let's dig a hole in the sand. Let's bury that guy in the sand and then fill it in. That's the 2-year-old talking. Follow that.
Let's throw the sand. Yeah. It's true.
We're following our 2-year-old bliss while we talk on the radio. I think that's pretty much
yes, I'd say so.
Anyway, I think we're just about out of time. So this has been the Soul of Everyman show, and I'm Michael Lyons.
And I'm Margaret, and follow your bliss.
All your bliss, folks.